Update Reddit.
What's the scariest thing that's ever woken you up during the middle of the night? Woke up to my dad covered in blood shaking me like a lunatic. Apparently he had a dream that he was in an army and was killing people. He woke up, went to the bathroom, saw he was covered in blood from a nosebleed, and thought he sleepwalked, murdered his family. That was probably the scariest thing he woke up to too. The sound of a train while camping in Kansas. Turns out it was actually a train and not a tornado, but that train had me fear for my life. Trainado. Falling down the stairs. I was 12 and I was sleepwalking. I woke up as I was falling from the first step and proceeded to tumble down 18 stairs. All I got was a bruise. My little brother was hiding in my closet to scare me when I went to bed. He was in there for a while and fell asleep on some stuffed animals. He woke up in the middle of the night and just sort of fell out of the closet. I woke up to him just getting up and going to his room. My life is tame. Part of my ceiling collapsed on me. We knew there were leaks from the roof and were in the process of fixing those ourselves without really looking into any of the structural damage. After that, we hired professionals. Whoa. Were you hurt at all? Or did you sleep through it? A bear outside my tent. Just play dead. Play dead? Whose idea was that? Maybe the bear's? One time I was having a dream about giant green water snakes. One bit me in the FI and I woke up screaming, to find my cat pawing at my face because he had no food. I had a dream a snake was wrapping around my head but woke up to see my cat was patting at my head because a stink bug was in my hair. My husband jumping up in bed next to me, screaming that a cockroach just crawled over his legs, then he continued shrieking while doing a strange jig on top of the bed, furiously shaking his arms back and forth. After the initial terror, shock, and confusion, however, it was hilarious. That's my kinda foreplay. A coyote pacing back and forth by my window after bouncing off the glass. Well, it appears that you have a skinwalker problem. I recommend getting a Wichita stick. I woke up to a cockroach that had crawled into my ear. ISU not. Excruciating pain, tried to flush it out with water, no luck. I had to lie there for 6 hours before Mum took me to hospital while it moved around, scratched my eardrum and fluttered its wings. That sound is terrifying when it comes from in your ear. My ear was bruised from how hard I was pushing in an attempt to stop it moving. They first tried to blast it out with a high-pressured little hose, which hurt like AB and didn't work. So then they poured oil into my ear to drown it, then sucked the fucker out with a little vacuum. I'm sorry you had to go through this. But mostly I'm sorry I had to realize this is a real possibility in life. I stepped out of my bathroom to find my entire house lit up, 2 empties and a sheriff's deputy in my living room. They proceeded to try to tell me to come sit down, stay calm, relax and let them help me. I was like, WTF is going on, why are you in my house? Apparently I had suffered a grand mal seizure in my sleep, never having this happen before. My wife called 911. I must have come out of the seizure, got up, walked into the bathroom to take a piss and had no idea it even happened. While I was in the bathroom, they arrived, came in and my wife had turned all the lights on and I was oblivious to everything. Weirdest feeling ever, would not do again. I had a very similar experience, although I was still fucked up when they told me I had a seizure, and I remember staring back at them saying, what the F is a seizure? I once woke up to see a helicopter crashing through my ceiling. I dove from my bed face first into my bedroom door to get away. It was the ceiling fan. A roommate having an episode of night terrors. Was awful the way he screamed. Woke up to my hamster screaming and I immediately started screaming for some reason. I then ran, crawled over, still screaming. So we were both screaming at each other for a good 30 seconds. Was the scariest ever. He was fine, he's the biggest P ever. I think he himself from climbing too high. I'm sorry, but that is goddamn hilarious. A cold lifeless hand falling flat on my face. Took me a second or two to realize it my own hand that I had been laying on. It was cold and numb from the elbow down. Cat jumping from my desk directly onto my back. Scared 7 kinds of S out of me. I didn't even know he was in the room. 7 kinds of S. Sorry for being a filthy casual here, but could you describe all kinds of S? Severe pain in my chest, making it nearly impossible to breathe. I was ready to go to the emergency room in a panic, but then thumped my chest with my fist, stopping the pain, and went back to sleep. You're like a human defibrillator. The condensed snuffling breath from a lioness pressing her nose against my tent in Savo a few feet from my face. Pretty much pooped my pantsuit. I awoke once to a strange, high-pitched trilling sound and bright lights beaming through my window. For a second I seriously thought I was about to be abducted by aliens. Then I realized it was a toad doing its mating call in the front yard and car parked on the street with the headlights on. Sleep paralysis. I could not move and there were gigantic spiders trying to eat me. God, I'm so happy that I haven't experienced hallucinations along with sleep paralysis. The sleep paralysis by itself is bad enough. My father screaming my name in a blood-curdling, horrific cry for help. He had an aneurysm and passed in my arms. I woke up with a girl standing next to my bed, staring at me. At the same time I hear a horrifying screams, not from the girl but from somewhere far away. It took around 10 seconds for my scared and sleepy brain to realize my daughter, Toddler, had woken up to look for me, and so had my baby son in his room. Apparently when I was younger, I would never actively wake my parents. I would just tiptoe into their room and stare at them until their parent meter went off. Usually service was pretty slow. Just a few weeks ago, woke up to scratching noises. I'm talking intense, I mean nails scraping down a blackboard intense. Freak out, lights on. Staring at the wall where the scratching noise is coming from. Go to the next room over to investigate if it's coming from the other side. Nope. Sit awake for 3 more hours sweating profusely and coming up with conspiracies, investigate as the sun comes up. Turns out it was a possum that had somehow gotten into my walls because it's too cold outside. Freaking Australia. A stereotypical evil laugh. What freaked me out was that it started in my dream just before I woke up, and continued a few seconds after I was fully awake. On Halloween, in the dead of night, I woke up to scratching sounds coming from the front door. My boyfriend and I had been binging on scary movies, and I'm typically a pretty logical lady, so I dismissed the noise as a spooky dream. But no, there it was again. So of course I decided to investigate. I crept over to the front window and peeked out of the blinds. It was 2 little kitties wrestling. And since this was obviously the best Halloween ever, I shook my boyfriend awake, feigning panic, and said, "There's something at the door," so he was able to be frightened by the little guys too. I once farted myself awake, which was pretty startling. Impressive. Most impressive. I woke up to my friends dripping sun lotion on my face with a fake penis. Woke up to what I thought was a giant lobster on my leg. Ended up being a stuffed animal. Hence the name. That's just perfect. When I was younger, a woman, whom I did not know, knocked on the frame of my door and shouted, "I'm home," and went downstairs. I woke up my parents and my mother found her knocked out on our floor. She turned out to be our neighbor's daughter, and she got back home from drinking and thought our house was hers. We woke her up and she left, but she went home barefoot and forgot her shoes. TLDR drunk neighbor breaks into our house thinking it's hers and we are left with her shoes. We feel too awkward to return them as it might be embarrassing for her or she might not remember. Neighbor's house on fire. Ended up being a murder. My wife, standing over me with a knife, whispering to herself that she needed to kill me. That was a rough year. Whoa, care to elaborate? A scorpion in my bed. When I was younger, my mum was in the attic above my room, and due to the weak flooring she fell through the ceiling and onto the end of my bed. Somehow this didn't disturb me. What made it terrifying was that when I awoke in the morning, there was a large hole in the ceiling above me and an old clown puppet staring down at me. It was horrible. Woke up in the middle of the night to heavy breathing in my ear and a massive weight pinning me to the bed. Turns out our Malamute had figured out how to open my door and had decided to sneak into bed with me. Sleep paralysis. F that noise. Had Chipotle that morning. My cat jumped on me that night. Sharded myself awake. That's so Tractor. You have been visited by the pizza of sleepiness. Good dreams and rest will come to you, but only if you comment "sleep tight, pizza."